Hey everybody, my name is Jen and this is Jen Geigley Knits. I'm totally forcing the sweater weather today because it is not sweater weather outside actually, but I'm in the mood for sweaters and so it's sweater weather. We've had a taste of the sweater weather, but then we'll have a heat wave and it just goes back and forth for a while. And we joke in the Midwest that, we joke about all of the seasons because they're so all over the place now, but it's usually like fair season, then fall, where it kind of feels like fall and gets cool for a bit. And then it's like, just kidding, it's summer again, and then a heat wave, and then fall, so we go through those cycles till we get actual fall, and that's probably more like October. But anyway, I'm wearing a sweater today. I'm going to talk about fall knitting inspiration because I just got all of these books from Rowan, the brand new magazine, and a lot of their other autumn winter books for this season, which is always very exciting. I'm a Rowan ambassador and I've been a Rowan ambassador for over 10 years now. And so we get little packages in the mail in the beginning of each season to kind of showcase the new things. And then we get to knit something if we'd like from the new season, and they will sometimes send us yarn and little goodies. So I got also this box of yarn that I'm going to share. And just some things from the magazines, and then there's some new stuff, so I'll share that in a bit. I also have been collecting a little stack of books that I got in the mail recently that I've been dying to get my hands on. I've been waiting forever for Arctic Knits. I'm super excited about these two really innovative, different books. This construction knitting book I got from Pearl Soho. It is super, super my type of knitting, really cool, big, chunky, 3D almost knits. Really, really different ways of thinking about things. And then Lark Bagger, I have her older books, but I was really excited to pre-order this new one, and we'll get to these in a bit, but I just wanted to show you these. And then at the end, if you stick around, I have kind of a fun travel announcement that it's something I wasn't planning on doing, but as of yesterday, I am going somewhere next year, and it's like very exciting and a big deal for me, so I'll talk about that also, but I'm going to start with the Rowan and Autumn Winter 2024-25. So back in 2007, I started begging my friends Amy and Sarah to teach me how to knit. I knew they were knitters, they're very accomplished knitters, and I wanted in on their secret world of knitting. I could tell they were obsessed with this hobby, and so I wanted in. And so they patiently sat me down and taught me how to knit. And then I quickly became obsessed and got all the books from the library and was practicing. And then they so kindly took me to my local yarn shop. Like, I got the perfect introduction with these friends who knew what they were doing. And, it's like a whole new world opens up when you go into a beautiful yarn shop. And that's where I discovered Rowan and became obsessed right away. And so I think that day I bought either the Rowan magazine of that time or maybe a Kim Hargreaves book. I can't remember, but then I began knitting patterns from it and going down that whole road. And that's how my knitting life started. So I've been a Rowan fan for a long time. So when this magazine came out, we were all very excited. It's kind of a throwback to their classic styling and photography and their roots, and it's called Heritage. And so I'll just read. So this is Rowan Magazine 76. It says, Rowan is going back to their roots with heritage, told through one captivating story. Heritage Magazine 76 celebrates the heartland of Rowan. The seasonal and ever-changing landscape of Yorkshire, the home of Rowan, is inspiration and backdrop to this carefully crafted story of beautiful knits. So this has knits from all their classic designers like Martin Storey and Kay Fassett and everyone we've loved over the years. And then from charming stone buildings to the bracken and heather of the open moors, this instantly recognizable landscape is synonymous with Rowan. Our designers use alpaca classic, alpaca soft, and felted tweed, one of my favorites, that's what this sweater is, to tell the heritage story through texture and color work. And so I'm always so excited to get these in the mail. I have a pretty big collection of Rowan magazines that date back before I even knew how to knit, because I've been collecting the old ones, and I love these. It's just a timeless resource. You can knit a sweater from a Rowan magazine from 25 years ago, and it will still look just as cool and current as designs from today. And so that's why I collect Rowan books and magazines from the past. I think this one I just got off eBay. When I see these pop up, I sometimes keep my eye out for certain ones. This is one I've been looking for. I think it's from like 2004 or 2005, and it's vintage knits, so they're kind of based on older knits, but very cool and modern and fun. And it still has some of their main designers that design today, like Kate Fassett, Kim Hargraves, Martin Storey, Lisa Hardling, Brandon Mabley. And so, yeah, I always keep my eye out for things like this because they're just, like, I love that sweater. But yeah, back to the magazine. I think I'm just gonna throw out some pictures here because I could kind of page through this, but it's easier to, and it's just, it is beautifully photographed. And that is what draws me to Rowan is their beautiful landscapes and styling. Like there is this skirt in here, not this one, but there's like some outfits that a bunch of us are obsessed with, like the long skirts and the countryside. It's so beautiful, but let me find there's like one long wool skirt that we're all obsessed with. It's like plaid, this one. Anyway, I'll throw some pictures out here so you can see all the beautiful knits in this magazine. So Rowan so kindly sent me some yarn for this season. Some of it is for a really cool knit along that I'll talk about in a minute with Martin Storey. It's happening through Rowan Connect. That's another fun side of Rowan that you can kind of participate in from home. But we also got to pick a garment from this magazine that we wanted to knit, and I chose a cardigan called Hunslet, which is a colorwork cardigan by Martin Storey. I know. This is like too much. It's so beautiful. So I chose these two colors for the colorwork cardigan. This is Treacle and Sulfur. I don't even have to look them up. I know these colors like by heart. This is Rowan Felted Tweed, which is one of my very, very favorite of all time sweater yarns, and that's what this is made out of. If I didn't mention this, I'm wearing my design called Francis, made in Rowan Felted Tweed. So you can see these two colors are even in here. I used a whole bunch of my leftovers to make a really colorful yoke for this one, but the pattern itself is written in two colors, a dark kind of navy blue and this bright sulfur yellow. And so in the sample, this just alternates between two colors, but then I decided to use felted tweed because it was the same gauge and make my own colorful version of Francis. So you can check that out on Ravelry. I believe it's still for sale on the Rowan website. Anyway, felted tweed makes the ultimate perfect sweater. It just feels so nice. It wears so nicely. It kind of blends, like your color work just always looks really good. And so that's why I chose this yarn and this sweater from this season, and these two really good contrasting colors. They're kind of opposite each other on the color wheel, kind of a purple and a yellow. And you know I love yellow with a nice contrast, so I think that'll be a really fun knit, and I'm really excited to cast on. The other yarns in this box are, some of them are for a knit along that I'm participating in with Rowan Connect, which is a really cool resource. There's video tutorials and a PDF clue each week and videos of Martin Storey, who's hosting. He's the designer for this knit along, and he designed a cowl and scarf called the Snowflower, and that is our knit along for the next few weeks. So there's like a weekly clue. Again, this is in Rowan Felted Tweed, which is one of my favorites, and I thought I would jump in on this one. The original colors that it called for are kind of pink tones and purples, which I wasn't super, like, they're not really my colors. And then they were kind of selling out of those exact colors, so I just chose my own colors. So let me put a little graphic up here of how I replaced the colors. I always kind of do this on my computer so I can see, and I was trying to pick like some similar mid-tones and some darks and lights that corresponded with what their original colors were, so that hopefully this works out. So for my colorful, kind of bright mid-tones, I chose Aster, which is this purple, one of my favorite colors ever, Vaseline green, and then Zinnia, which I love, and Sulfur, and Fjord. And then for my darks, I chose my favorite go-to, Treacle, which is like kind of a raisiny purple. And then I also chose, what is this one? Seafarer. And then my light is the Alabaster, which is a light gray. So this is kind of my mix, whoops, for this knit along. So kind of different, brighter, vivid colors. With these classic darks and then one light gray, and hopefully that turns out in a good way. I have a tiny bit of a start on this, just a little bit. And so yeah, like I said, you can choose the scarf or the cowl. And so the scarf has a ribbed edge and the cowl does not. And I made mine a little bit, I made it one repeat less because it's just a lot of color work knitting each week. And I'm still not even done with the first clue because I got my yarn a little bit late into the process, but I'm like this far in. You can kind of see it's like a floral, a snowflower motif, but it's really fun knitting. I really enjoy knitting with felted tweed. It is perfect, it is the perfect colorwork yarn, perfect for accessories and sweaters. And I can't wait to start that cardigan too, the colorwork cardigan. So I'll see how far I get. This is like a very non-stressful knit along too, where you don't have to be current on it. You can take your time and go at your own pace. So it's a lot of fun, but there are weekly videos to catch up with, and I think weekly live help. If you have a question or need some help, I think they jump on and answer questions and stuff like that. So Rowan Connect is really fun to check out. They have all kinds of other videos too that aren't knit-alongs, and so definitely check out Rowan Connect. In addition to Magazine 76, Rowan also sent a bunch of pattern booklets for the new season. There's so much good stuff in here, all the fall inspiration you could ever hope for. Look at the plaid cowl on the cover of this one. You can oftentimes find these booklets online on the Rowan website or at your local yarn shop, at your local Rowan retailer. Especially these little ones. They're 4 projects by KAL Studio. I love collecting these. They're really good, and they're just usually based on one yarn. So this one's for Tweed Haze, and I'm obsessed with this cowl. It's so cute. And then there's a cardigan. Beautiful. Oh, this Tweed Haze sweater with the diamonds, I absolutely love. So there's the 4 projects right there for Tweed Haze. This one's for Brush Fleece, another one of my favorite yarns. It's really lightweight and cozy and soft. And this is another 4 projects by KAL Studio. There they are. Then we have, I think these are some of the lookbooks for autumn winter. So like the stores will get these and have the big beautiful photos of all the new projects and the yarns. There is new yarns as well. Sometimes new shades and new colors. Here's another page of that. Tweed Haze. Lots of color work. And so that's another book we get. And then let's see, the magazine, and then Mode at Rowan, which I haven't talked about yet. Mode at Rowan has always been kind of their own modern, wearable, everyday collection, and that's still kind of the direction they're going. But they've also branched off and started their own line of yarns. And so there is mode for Rowan yarns, 6 new yarns. And they're kind of everyday classic pieces. They're simple and modern and very wearable. And so this sweater I love with the zip. I'll just throw up some pictures so you can see them better than in the book, but this is mode at Rowan. So the 6 new yarns at Mode for Rowan are Mode Alpaca Cotton, Mode Alpaca Haze, Mode Alpaca Wool, Mode Chunky Wool, which is the one I want to try, Mode Merino Soft, and Mode Soft Alpaca. So let's talk about some of the books I've been getting in the mail lately because they're really good. The first one I'm going to talk about is Arctic Knits by Wei Chin Chan, which I think I meant to get a long time ago. I was on some kind of pre-order list and then that shipment didn't come and I forgot to check on it and I was supposed to get it, but then I didn't get it, so I had to reorder it. I think there was like a supply issue or a reissue of this book, but I finally got it and it is beautiful. I can see why a lot of people are collecting this one. It is a lot of natural colored color work, inspired by where she lives. So Arctic Knits is a modern guide to knitted life in the far north, where she lives in the ice-capped mountains and tundra valleys. Combining her love for the outdoors and knitting, this book presents patterns for cozy jumpers, hats, and more that will keep you warm no matter how far north you venture. And so, yeah, it's really classic designs in these neutral colors, these natural colors, beautifully photographed, like gorgeous. A lot of colorwork sweaters with browns and creams, beautiful scenery photos. It's just a joy to look through books like this and you can see they're really sharing their life and their story with you. There's like a men and women's version of that sweater. Mittens. So this has a bunch of sweaters and accessories. Very beautiful photography. And so it's tempting to just stay with this color palette because it looks so good the way she's photographed it. But it'd be fun to try different colors other than these neutrals as well and just kind of mix it up. But I really can see the appeal of these natural wools and natural browns and oatmeal colors. So this is a really fun book to think about and to look through and kind of plan a new project. The next book I want to talk about is Construction Knitting, Knitwear Design with Geometric Shapes by Nikki Gabriel. And I saw this book in an Instagram post from Pearl Soho, so that's where I bought this book from. And this just really intrigued me because I really enjoy big chunky knits that have some dimension and kind of 3D aspects. You can see they stand up. There's all these different shapes in these knits. They're very, very different. It's kind of like what I did there was a fashion show I did a couple years ago at Vogue Knitting Live, and I had some 3D elements on these dresses and skirts and stuff that I created with some 3D eye cords and braids and different pieces that kind of stood out. And so this, though, is almost like, it's super geometric. I'm gonna try to show without showing any of the actual patterns, but there is like diagrams of the pieces and it's put together in such an interesting creative way that like each of these pieces come together and you seam them and it makes a whole new shape. It's just really fascinating how this all comes together. And so it's just a really different look at knitting and shapes and geometry and construction and just like, it's like art, basically, like art knits, like high fashion. And so that's really inspirational. And I can't wait to just go through each page, read the whole thing, and then, you know, come up with something totally new, possibly. Just really, really cool, different stuff. Then let's talk about Lark Bagger's new book, Knit It Out, which I absolutely adore her. She's been called Europe's coolest knitter, and I would agree with that description. She's very bold and honest and raw, and she shares these beautiful pictures from her life that are unedited and not perfect. And I love her Instagram. I love these books because they show all this, it's like her life. And this year, I know she lost her father, and she talks about that in this book. It's just these like full-size, beautiful photos of her in her element and in, you know, her fashion sense, her style, which is just like all over the place. And I just really enjoy it. So I was really excited to pre-order this book and get this. And this is a little note to her dad. And then there's the prologue is really good too. So this is a letter to her father and kind of talks about their difficult relationship. And she says, knitting is the spark within you. I'm here to ignite it and keep the flame alive. That's like the spirit of knitting. And to so many of us, it's a healing thing. It's so much more than just a hobby. On the back, Lark Bagger, author of Close Knit and creator of Alone Together, returns with a new collection of patterns and a powerful reflection on the healing power of knitting. That's seriously what it is behind it all. I think for so many of us, this book presents 12 knitting patterns with more than 30 variations, and that's the beauty of her design. You can customize it, you can change it. She wants you to. She'll show you how, including the inner child sweater, the Let It All Hang Out scarf, and family, which is her take on the classic Danish sweater. This book is suitable for beginners and advanced knitters alike. So it's full of these stories and photos of her life, but also these variations and how she combines all the different yarns, her swatches. It's just art to me, and I just find it so inspirational. Here's the family sweater, one version of it. Here's another like family picture of their family sweater on their different family members. There's the kid version, there's kid sizes. Then there was this whole, I kept seeing on her Instagram that she was sharing the Barbie fashions, which were just incredible. There's another Barbie page in the beginning of this. I don't know if yeah, there's this one where she was just knitting fashions for Barbies, and then full-size ones as well. I swear there was another Barbie picture, but here's the Barbies. And she's just like a punk rock dream, knitting in real life. She's had a lot of really famous clients. She's knitted for celebrities. You can see like her vision is just, it's just so outside the box. Her styling, and it's just endlessly inspirational. This I will sit down with for a good while this weekend and just go over all of it. Read all the different parts. There's, you know, like childhood photos and beautiful photography all throughout. She talks about nature and hiking in Greenland, and I just love these glimpses into her everyday life. Here's another little chapter 2, Nature versus Lark, Thoughts on Greenland, and the pullover that was a gesture of reconciliation for my dad but came too late. So this is definitely a personal exploration. It's related to her life experiences and knitting, and it's just kind of a beautiful journey for us to kind of join her on. And so I definitely recommend this book. Go pick it up. It's very, very different. It's not your average knitting book, but it has so many fun things inside. And what did it say? 12 patterns with 30 variations. So definitely go get a copy. So I kind of have some exciting knitting travel news to share. At least it's exciting to me. And it's not happening until next year, but I made a decision yesterday really suddenly, and I'm still processing it. I honestly haven't really left the United States except for a little bit into Mexico and almost to Canada. And I felt lately like my adult years are sort of slipping away. And a lot of it is like the kids keep me busy and our family and everything. It all makes sense. Bowie has never been on an airplane. He has autism. And so that's another thing. We do a lot of road trips. We drive, and we've seen like all of the United States, but there's been a list in my mind of places I would love to go overseas. And I think my husband and I have talked about this a lot, but I think the way to do that right now is to travel separately until we can, get Bowie comfortable with certain things. And someday we'll take a family trip. But I checked dates. I checked with my husband. He's like, go for it. And so yesterday I decided that next year I'm going to Iceland, and I'm very, very excited. And it's a knitting based trip. I am going with Hélène Magnússon, who hosts and gives knitting tours around Iceland. And there's like different ones every month and every season. It's just amazing what she does every year. Some of them are like knitting between fire and ice. There's some with the Northern Lights. And the one I chose to do is called Hiking and Knitting Under the Midnight Sun 2025. And it's incredible. When I read the description, I've been kind of following this for quite a while. And I always thought, wow, that would be the ultimate thing, because it's outdoorsy, it's hiking, it's seeing nature and seeing the country from someone who lives there. And also there's a lot of knitting involved. There's like knitting workshops. You're going with knitters. A lot of people knit sweaters just for these trips, like Icelandic pullovers. So the whole thing is very appealing to me. I checked the dates. I had to make sure that this was going to be after Lotus's graduation, because that timing is really tricky and I cannot miss her high school graduation. So this is just after next summer. And I'll just read a little bit of the tour info because it's really exciting. And I'll show you some pictures from trips from the past so you can kind of see what we're going to be doing. So it's called Hiking and Knitting Under the Midnight Sun 2025. This beautiful tour takes you to the incredible mountain range of Trollskagi, the peninsula of the trolls in the north of Iceland. In June, it's daylight all night long, so we shall not fear the trolls, but enjoy very long hours to explore the beautiful outdoors of the mountain landscapes and to listen to Hélène share her knowledge about Icelandic knitting heritage with focus on the traditional Icelandic mittens. So we get to knit Icelandic mittens with Hélène Magnússon in Iceland. And yeah, Under the Midnight Sun, because the sun doesn't really set, and I'm just so interested in this whole experience. During the tour, we will knit a pair of mittens with Geigley, the most famous Icelandic trollus known for eating naughty children at Christmas. We will also visit local craftsmen in the area, the Tannery Center, and the Textile Museum in Bluntos, as well as meet with local spinners and dyers in that region. Accommodation in the picturesque country guest house and farm with sleeping bag accommodations, accommodation in a country guest house with a sauna. It's all like these beautiful, picturesque, countryside accommodations, but you're like sharing, bathrooms and facilities, and, you're sleeping together like a big slumber party, but it's a big knitting slumber party. And there's the knitting workshops are part of the trip. So it includes traditional Icelandic mittens, an Icelandic wool workshop, and traditional Icelandic steek. And we will get to visit the sheep and lambs and all kinds of hiking every day. We get to enjoy the knitting picnics made by their knitting tour chef on the various hikes. So they kind of follow you and make food for you. And so I just love the whole idea of this whole thing. And so it is adventurous, and there's a lot of hiking, and there are big, long hikes over, different terrain. There's a big equipment list. And so you have to really prepare and pack. Luckily, my husband is super outdoorsy. He does trails and camping and hiking and every kind of all of that. And so he has a big supply of tactical gear. So when I told him about this and showed him the equipment list, he's like, I think I have almost all of that. I just need to get some hiking boots that are good. That's probably the number one thing I need to find, some really good hiking boots that fit well and are comfortable. I have had some surgeries on my foot, so I'm always comfort first. And so I'll be really picky about which ones I get. But the rest, I think I've got, we've got under layers, we want base layers, and then sweaters and knitted sweaters on top. I think that's what most people wear in the photos. Some rain gear, but it's just going to be an adventure. And I'm sort of treating myself to this whole experience, and I cannot wait. Almost can't imagine that this is going to really happen, but I'm super excited to kind of prepare over the next few months and, you know, get ready for this next summer. So there's lots of time to get ready for it and maybe knit another Lopi sweater. And then some people I've seen knit a whole sweater while they're there, like on the hikes, you knit and try to finish it. So that's kind of a fun thing to think about too. So anyway, I'm going to Iceland next summer. I'm super excited. I'm thinking about getting maybe a GoPro camera that I could wear like on some of the hikes to kind of take you along and show you the countryside. If you want to help me with my GoPro funding, I'm just kidding. You can support me by purchasing some of my patterns on Ravelry, and that will help me, you know, travel is expensive, but I'm really excited to share it. And I think I need a new camera to kind of make it a good experience and maybe not just on my iPhone filming. Just a thought. I mean, I'm not really saying you have to buy my patterns, but I will mention as I'm talking about that, thank you so much for all your support on the 1999 sweater. You have been so kind and so supportive over the last week. It is still on sale through midnight tonight with the code STRIPE on Ravelry. You can get 20% off the 1999 sweater, which is this stripy sweater that I just released last week. But thank you for your support on that. It really does help. It makes me want to design more patterns and put the time into it and the energy, and it makes it all feel worth it. So thank you so much for your support. And I hope you have fun knitting your 1999 stripy sweaters. I think that's all I have for this week, but thank you for hanging out and checking out the new autumn-winter Rowan season with me. I think the official timestamp of fall is when you get the Rowan magazine in your mailbox. And so I'm declaring it. It is fall. It is sweater weather. We can go forth and knit our sweaters now. It is time, even if it's 80 degrees outside, it's sweater time. So I'm calling it. But yeah, thanks for hanging out here. Thanks for checking out my books. Thank you for your continued support on 1999, my sweater pattern. It is still 20% off with the code STRIPE on Ravelry through midnight tonight, so go check it out. I really appreciate it. And thank you for liking and subscribing and all your amazing comments. I really appreciate it. Thanks for spending time here with me on the weekends. I upload a new video every Saturday morning, so stop back next week and see what's new. And I hope you have a great week, a great day. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.